We got Jimmy Howard. I added a 4-point line to the NBA, and this is what happened. Rudy Gobert started making threes. Whoop-de-doo! Andre Drummond started making threes. Whoop-de-doo! That's what happened.
What if the NBA had a 4-point line? The idea of a 4-point line has bounced around the league for years, but has remained just that, an idea. But what if these ill-advised bombs that pose no real
Isn't he
advantage
retired?
actually
He's doing
did?
playing basketball.
How would a 4-pointer change the game? The way offenses are set up, who would take them, and who would be the best at them? Well, there's really only one way to find out. So I added one.
Looks like toast. Which one? Where's the 4-pointer at? Which one's the 4-pointer? You already know the drill.
Today's video is
Hubba Max, Hubba Max.
Sportsbook.
Stability out there with TRAE taking a long run and connects from the Laker logo.
You see that? Not the three. What Trae Young did after the three. Not the most conventional celebration, pointing at the spot on the court where he hit a 30-foot bomb. But he's not pointing to just any random spot. He's pointing at the 4-point line. Now, you or I can't see the 4-point line because it's not on this court. But Trae can see it because it's on his court. Years ago, within the Atlanta Hawks practice facility, the organization implemented a 4-point line, 29 feet out from the basket, a little over 5 feet further than the NBA 3-point line. Trae Young can hit these shots because he practices these shots. And the Hawks aren't the only team that have incorporated a 4-point line into their practices.
What the? Whoa! This is player catering to his finest right here. Okay. Do you Clint Capella shoot threes next? Dang. Watch after this. Look. After he finishes drills inside the paint, they don't have him shoot threes.
Aren't the only team that have incorporated a 4-point line.
They gonna have Clint Capella shooting threes, bro.
The Bucks have a 4-point shot in their practice facility.
For Giannis? You want Giannis shooting 4-pointers?
Facility, as do the 76ers.
You want Embiid shooting 4-pointers?
Rockets.
Oh, yeah, of course, they will have. Of course, they will have it. Of course.
And many other teams.
What the? They really have a 4-point line in practice, bro.
Here's Milwaukee's practice court with squares indicating 4-pointers. And here's that exact concept playing out in real time.
That's a three, though.
NBA seeing
That's
an
a three.
explosion in 3-pointers over the last decade, I'm not sure if adding a 4-point line would be good for the game. And we may not see a 4-point line in the NBA anytime soon. But we
Yo, Pop is a... Bro, Pop, bro. This man... Pop is a living legend, bro. And it should create 4-point line 5 to create real circus because no one wants to play defense anymore.
I've seen it in other places.
Smoking just like me, Pop.
The Big
This would be a circus at this point.
Three League, which features mostly former NBA players and overseas pros, doesn't quite have a 4-point line, but they do have a 4-point spot called the Fireball 3, a spot 30 feet away from the rim where shots are worth 4 points. So far this season, the league average from the 4-point shot is 15%. Similar to the Big 3 League, the WNBA has included a similar 4-point spot for the last 2 All-Star games. Same conditions as the Big 3 League, but this spot is 28 feet from the basket. In the 2023 WNBA All-Star game, out of the total 45 4-pointers attempted, players connected on 12 of them.
Bro, why is Brittany Griner a shooter from back there? Is she not a shooter? Bet it!
4-pointers attempted, players connected on 12 of them.
That's like asking Akeem Olajuwon to shoot some threes, bro. Come on.
A 4-point percentage of 26.7%. In the American Basketball Association,
not a 4, but a 3. You can hit a 3, right?
Is a 4-point shot. So this shot is doable, and it's been incorporated into games to some capacity before. But what if the NBA added a 4-point shot? How far out would it be? How would it change the game we know? And who would be the best 4-point shooters on the planet? In 2020, an article published by the Northeastern Sports Analytics Group went into detail about the possibility of a 4-point line, how the shot would change the anatomy of the game, and exactly what it would look like. Within their data, researchers found that in order for the shot to make sense, the distance would have to be just right. The number they came up with? 30 feet. Any closer, and the shot would be too easy. Any further, and the shot wouldn't be worth taking. We've talked about this concept before, how efficient any given shot is and how that leads to the way teams set up their offense, otherwise known as points per shot. In 2023, the expected shot value for every two-pointer was 1.096 points. The expected shot value for every three-pointer
Intuitive sit to start.
Jimmy, how you feeling about VW? I didn't know you got a VW.
pointer was 1.083 points, essentially making both shots about equally as efficient on average. Now, since 1996, the NBA has been keeping track of shot data, where shots were taken and the success rates of those shots. And with this data, we can figure out the expected shot value not only by
all due respect, who cares about this, bro? Who cares? What did Charles Barkley say? He says for them team owners who needed their son-in-laws needed jobs. The son-in-laws needed jobs, so they came up with some type of bullshit. It's like analytics or something. That's what they call it. That's what Charles Barkley said.
Of shot data.
The owners of the teams, sons-in-laws needed jobs. Oh, I got a job for you. Call it analytics and stat data and shot data.
Where shots were taken and the success rates of those shots. And with
Charles Barkley said, not me.
Figure out the expected shot value not only by category, but by distance. For example, if the 4-point line were, let's say, 24 feet out, we can sort through every shot taken from 24 feet, find the league-wide average for that shot distance, and then just divide 4 points by that number. The league average field goal percentage from 24 feet out is about 35%, which means if the 4-point line was set at 24 feet, the expected shot value would be 1.44 points, far more than both 3-pointers and 2-pointers. So we gotta move it back further. At 25 feet, the expected shot value would be 1.39 points, which is still far too efficient. Keep moving this theoretical line back, and to match the efficiency of 2s and 3s, the 4-point line would have to fall somewhere between 28 and 29 feet away from the basket. But we don't want the league to turn into a 4-point shootout. We need the shot to present enough risk for players to shoot it only on occasion. So if we move the 4-point line back to 30 feet, the expected shot value plummets all the way down to 0.693 points, making it just feasible enough to make sense, but not too much to be exploited, giving us a definitive distance of 30 feet for
they're gonna exploit it, trust me. Trust me, Jimmy, they're gonna exploit that, trust me. They're gonna exploit. That's like they find new metas in 2K and new glitches in 2K. Grown-ass men looking for glitches, bro.
So the NBA
Bro, leave it to the little kids and little diddly bobs, bro.
To implement this 30-foot 4-pointer.
This is a grown-ass man doing glitches, bro.
Shooters in the league.
This is like 2K. They gonna find a way to exploit it.
Well,
they gonna find a way to take advantage of that
may
shit.
Not be what you think.
But surely,
now, this is what a 30-foot shot looks like. And for the sake of this experiment, from here on out, these shots are now 4-pointers. A distance that is far beyond any valuable shot when they're only worth 3 points. But despite this, players keep taking them. The NBA record for the most theoretical 4-pointers made in a game is a 4-way tie between D'Angelo Russell, Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, and
D'Angelo Russell made 4 3-pointers. I mean, 4 4-pointers in 2020 in December 2023. He made it. How you make that up? D'Angelo Russell. There's something about you we don't know about. How you made 4 4-pointers in 2023? And 2023 is not over yet. In December 23, that's not even here yet.
And TRAE Young, who each made 5 4-pointers in a single game. 5 shots made.
He made 5 4-pointers, even worse.
Single game from at least 30 feet out. But easily the most absurd display of long bombs in NBA history came from Damian Lillard back in 2020 when he attempted 10 4-pointers in a single game. In total, Dame shot 15 threes, 10 of which were beyond 30 feet out, a feat that would have most players in trade packages the very next day.
He's gonna be in a trade package soon, hopefully. What you mean?
Since the NBA began keeping track of play-by-play data, there have been 51 games where a player has made at least 3 4-pointers. Out of those 51 games, 36 of them came from either Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, or TRAE Young. Because even in a league with the best shooters on the planet,
there's a Tuletovic
are among the handful of players that should even be shooting these shots in the first place. But how much would a 4-point line really change the game? Well, it would be impossible to know the ripple effect of such a monumental change. But after painstakingly tracking the shot data and results of each and every game last season, I found that there were only 2 games out of the total 1,314 games played where a 4-point line would have altered the results of the game. That's instances where if the shots made beyond 30 feet were counted as 4-pointers instead of 3-pointers, it would have swung the point total enough to turn the loss into a win.
You talking about that crazy triple overtime game with the Clippers versus the Kings? That was Russ's first game with the Clippers too. And that was crazy when the triple overtime. And the score was like 160 to 161.
And vice versa. That's 2 games in an entire season. In fact, since 1996, there have been 20 instances where the outcome of a game would have been altered as a direct result of a 4-pointer. Games where a 3-pointer was made to tie the game and send it into overtime. But if the shot was a 4-pointer, it would have outright won the game. So with everything else remaining the same, it's clear that giving an extra point for these bombs wouldn't actually change a whole lot. At least not for those who don't take them. But what about the players who do? Last season alone, across the NBA, there were 2,192 shots taken from at least 30 feet out, which sounds like a lot, but it only made up about 2.6% of all shots taken beyond the 3-point line last season. And of all these now 4-pointers, the league-wide average field goal percentage was just 17.3%. This is a difficult shot. Luka Doncic shot 34 shots from at least 30 feet out last season. He made just 5 of them. Anthony Edwards shot 13, and he made just 1, which would give him a 4-point field goal percentage of 7%. But not all players are abysmal from this distance. Last season, Jordan Poole shot 72 4-pointers and knocked down 32% of them, which makes him as deadly from 4-point range as Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, and DeMar DeRozan are from 3-point range. And if that doesn't rattle your brain, Darius Garland attempted 27 4-pointers last season and knocked down 11 of them, giving him an absurd 4-point shooting percentage of 41%, which is exactly the same as his 3-point percentage. But these numbers are from just last season. If we take a look at tracking data dating back to 1996, here's a chart of the players who shot the most 4-pointers throughout the last 27 seasons. And very quickly, you can see just how uncommon shots from this 4-point distance are. Devin Booker is 42nd all-time in shots attempted from at least 30 feet, and he's only taken 109 in his entire career. Carmelo Anthony was a brick from this range.
Use a brick.
He's a wizard from 30 feet out. Keep going up the chart, and one thing that jumps out is
LeBron?
that being a good 3-point shooter doesn't necessarily make a player a good 4-point
LeBron?
shooter. Ray Allen shot 157 4-pointers.
LeBron shoots better from 4-point lines than 3-point range. Whoop-de-doo! How did that make it make sense?
And only hit 5.7% of them.
No, I shoot 35% on 3-pointers, but 4-pointers, I shoot 50%. What? How?
Whereas
Whoop-de-doo! Whoop-de!
Luka Doncic, a notoriously
Leave him open from 3, but we have to 4, you gotta guard him.
shoots
Whoop-de-doo!
4-pointers well above league average. And as we approach the top of this list, the total shot attempts from this range begin to increase almost exponentially. LeBron has attempted 304 4-pointers in his 20-year career. TRAE Young has attempted 536 in his 5 seasons.
Like I said, TRAE Young plays like those dribble guys on 2K.
And you'll find 2 familiar faces topping the all-time 4-point leaderboard. Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry have virtually shot the same amount of 4-pointers throughout their careers, both of them on relatively excellent field goal percentage. But this is just the total amount of 4-pointers players have attempted throughout their careers. What might be more revealing is the rate at which players shoot these long balls. And if we take a look at 4-pointers attempted per season, there's one player throughout NBA history who is miles above everyone else. It isn't Steph or Dame. It isn't a historically great scorer like James Harden or Kobe Bryant.
It's Rudy Gobert!
It isn't a prolific sharpshooter like Reggie Miller or Klay Thompson. If the 4-point line existed, the player who would undeniably be the greatest 4-point shooter of all time is TRAE Young. Attempting over 100 4-pointers per season throughout his career, there isn't a single player within TRAE Young's galaxy. And the further we dive into the numbers, the more obvious this becomes. With a career shooting percentage of 33% on shots at least 30 feet out, if the 4-point line existed, Trae Young would have an expected shot value of 1.33 points off of 4-pointers, making it the single most valuable shot in basketball outside of uncontested layups. For perspective, in a league with a 4-point line, the best big men in the NBA have a lower points per shot value on contested layups than Trae Young does from 30 feet out, which would make a 30-plus foot bomb by Trae Young more efficient than a defended layup from the reigning MVP. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? And this gap in value only gets larger as we go further from the
That's
basket.
circus, bro. Jimmy, how you supposed about Valdelith? I didn't know you play that game.
Kevin Durant is a mid-range juggernaut. His points per shot on mid-range jumpers is 1.1 points. Back up to the three-point line, and if you take the most accurate volume three-point shooter in the league, Tyrese Maxey, his three-pointers are still less valuable than Trae Young's 30-foot four-pointers. Stephen Curry is the undisputed king of the three-ball. He's single-handedly revolutionized the game with his range. And yet, somehow, Trae Young has already made more career four-pointers, or shots at least 30 feet out, than Stephen Curry has. It's probably a good thing that this shot doesn't exist in the NBA.
Yeah.
If it did, Trae Young would be the best to ever do it. Here is a visual of each sector on the floor by distance.
Circus at that point,
And
bro.
here are some of the most
Because Trae Young
prolific
plays like them,
scorers
the dribble guys on 2K. Trae Young plays just like them. That's where they get their game from. Left to right, that's Trae Young with screens.
from each of those sectors, along with their career points per shot from that distance. From short range, you've got dominant and efficient bigs, players who control the paint. But these are some of the most highly contested shots in basketball. So take a step back to the mid-range, and you'll see, for the most part, efficiency actually remains consistent with players like Kawhi, Dirk, and CP3. Keep going back, and you'll find the long two-point snipers. Despite this being the least efficient shot in basketball, players like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving have kept this shot alive and well. Take it one step further, and that extra point from the three-point line makes three-pointers in the right hands one of the most lethal shots in the game, with Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Ray Allen all gaining at least 1.2 points per shot from this distance. Since 1996, these are the shots you want, who you want taking them, and how much they're worth. And then there's Trae Young, who, in a league where a 30-foot four-pointer existed, would possess the most valuable shot in basketball, despite taking it from the logo.
Hey, Trae Young, he may be the GOAT.